Hi everyone.
Welcome back to Shades of Guilt. Today we're presenting you with the third episode of Kristian Petrov's case. This is the boy who murdered his classmate and dismembered him. And today we're going to take it to a different level. Richard, would you
Yeah, today
explain?
we'll be having a special one in our midst whereby we've spoken with and we invited him. He's a specialist, he's a therapist. He will be sharing his opinion on this case, what he feels and what he thinks really happened. So sit back, relax while you enjoy the.
And keep in mind that this conversation is the full recording. We didn't cut anything, so you're going to be seeing the raw video and all of the opinions. Please remember to like and subscribe and give us your opinions in the comments. See ya.
Bye.
No, this was the first time I had ever heard of this case.
Okay, that's weird because it was a very, very big case. And for some reason, you disappeared again from the camera.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, give me 1 second. To try to. Okay. Yeah, perfect. Well,
Okay.
you were on camera and now you're not.
No? Okay, wait, give me a second.
It's a what?
I think.
Weak network because
Oh, okay, great.
yes, please.
So I'm recording this call, just so you know, and I'm gonna start by saying thank you so much for agreeing to analyze the case with us. As you said, you were not familiar with the case, but you did
Familiarize.
made yourself familiar to the case. So I was wondering, what would be your analysis of the motives, the possible motives, because Christian actually didn't state any motive for the murder.
Well, let me just check again. So, he had killed, what was it, one or two young women?
He killed. Okay.
Yeah. Check me to be
no.
sure, because yeah.
So he killed his classmate. They were not friends, but except for killing him,
Were they in the
he
same
actually
friend group?
dismembered him.
Were they in the same friend group, or no?
No, not really. They were never friends. They were not in the same friend group. They didn't communicate outside of school. They were in the same class, but that was it. And he not only murdered him, but also dismembered him.
Did he have any other friends apart from the friend that he dismembered?
It's not known, but it's said that he actually did have a lot of parties in the apartment where he killed his classmates.
Parties. So he was a social person, as we're saying. He would like gather people to party at his place.
Yeah,
People knew
yeah,
him.
pretty
So people knew
much.
him very well. Okay. So he is in no way like a loner and an introvert, which technically doesn't even.
Not really, no. If it makes any difference, his father was kind of abusive. His uncle tried to kill his father in a similar
What about
manner.
his mother?
His mother, he was very attached to.
Okay. Was his mother also beaten by his father? Was she abused?
That's not known. Probably, but I cannot say.
Okay. Well, based on that, there is maladaptive disorder, which coincides with the fact that his dad also beat him. When a young boy, especially in his formative years, does not have a father figure to withhold a let's call it a protective spectrum, it's really hard for the boy to realize what's good and what's bad. So in the case of his classmate, I am not sure what the purpose would be of why he killed him, especially if it's his friend. But I can assume it's out of, say, aggression. It's more of like, redirected aggression. A lot of the times, this is with animals as well. There's a lot of times where if somebody hurts you, you need to act out the aggression on the nearest object. In his case, because his father was a lot more powerful, obviously he is the father and is physically even more stronger than him. It's hard for him to do that because there will be consequences. So what he would do to the closest being, especially a close one. This is usually a case with people like this. That's one of the things I can think of. If there is no like sort of revenge behind it or like so sort of jealousy, because that's usually the first thing. It's usually jealousy, it's either revenge, it's an emotional outburst. But in the case of this kid, especially his father being abusive, it's probably redirected aggression.
If it makes any sense, people say that he was actually jealous of the victim's family because the victim had a great family, parents who loved him, and brother as well. So that could also make sense. Keep in mind that he went to his home and lured him to go under the pretenses of playing cards. So it was premeditated in that sense.
Yes, so anything that's premeditated means that he's been planning it for a very long time, which to me means that he was already attached to that family. Whether it's through his friends or through the family themselves, it's more a case of like his family is terrible and he wanted to replace that family with a new one. And he wanted to basically replace the son of the other family with himself, essentially. He might not admit it.
That doesn't make much sense.
He might not admit it, saying that he had no motive, but there is a very big possibility that's one of the things. Because most of the time, when you're jealous of something, you want to either take it for yourself, or at the very least, you want to replace it. So in this case, it is very possible that he wanted a better family, like somebody that would love him, that would care for him, unlike the family that he has. I'm pretty sure he's still yes, but yeah, the family is still alive. Okay. From what I know. The question is, how was the body transported? Was it by hand? From what I remember.
Yeah, he carried it in bags, and some of the internal organs were stored in a freezer in the home.
So he did this all by himself. He had like no.
Well, people suspect. I also suspect that he had an accomplice, but that has not been proven to be true.
An accomplice wouldn't have been caught. It does sound like quite a lot of work to do for just by himself.
Yeah, that's what Richard said, by the way. Exactly that.
Okay, well, there's no way he had an accomplice. At the very least, it would have like you would have an accomplice for the sake of like being able to delete your tracks. So at the very least, you'd have at least 2 weeks of time to do that. So to me, that sounds like somebody who's very immature and still like amateurish about this whole killing, and he doesn't know how to do it. So in this case, it's very possible he did it alone. Even if he planned the killing, I don't think he planned the rest of it.
We are thinking that it's too much work for one kid to do.
It is, but at the same time, he might have been planning this for a very, very long time. And
okay, the question there is that why did he choose his friend, that guy, as a target? Where it's assumed he should have other friends. Why did he choose?
No, we like Stella said earlier. He loved that family. He was jealous of that family. If he would choose somebody, he would choose especially somebody who's close to that family, for the sake of both hurting them, but also being able to replace them. He would want to be part of that family.
No, but he wasn't attached to the family. He was envious of the victim. That doesn't mean he was attached to the family, because the victim's mother, she said that they were never friends. They never communicated outside of school. So it makes kind of sense that he was envious of the boy, but I don't think he was attached to the family in that sense. I guess, I don't know. you're the specialist.
In this case, if he wasn't really attached to the family, he chose that. It's just the closest victim, and it's easier when you're at the very least you know this person a bit more in and out. It's a lot easier for you to manipulate somebody. Obviously, when manipulators come in, they come in at 100%. They seem like really nice on the outside, always like ready to help you. It would make sense. It would be this kid if he knows at least a bit more about their history. And if they have been somewhat close friends, or at least they've interacted more enough, it would be this person.
No, they were just
They were just
classmates.
okay.
No,
Has he been? Has he been over the victim's place? Has he like seen the?
he knew where he lived for sure because he went to his apartment to
Yeah.
invite him over.
Okay.
So he knew
He
where
knew
he
where-
lived. I have another question for you. Do you think it's possible for such a person to be rehabilitated after he did the sentence because he's out?
It's a case. Honestly, it's a case by case type of situation. In the case of this kid, it's hard to say because there is no definitive motive. At least he hasn't given one. So it's possible that it was an outburst, an emotional outburst. It can happen again. Granted, it's also depending on what the trigger was. If the trigger was his dad, and he's away from his dad, then it's possible for him to be rehabilitated.
Another
Yeah.
theory. Sorry. Another theory is that the victim actually cursed his mother, you know, the F your mother thing, and because he was very attached to his mother, that could be a possible reason, but nobody actually knows. This is why we wanted to discuss the case with you, because we're not psychologists, we're just, you know, having working theories about it.
Well, I have no contact with the parents themselves or the classmates, and I wouldn't want to reopen that wound. But if the victim himself had like the mother was insulted in some way, and this is his only, let's say, source of comfort in his life, considering that his dad is abusive, it's possible that this is a defense mechanism. It's basically a way for the kids to show that this is the most important thing in his life, and it cannot be overstated. Because if this were to happen, he would lose his sense of self. His sense of self is probably based on his mother. If that's the only person he has had close to himself, his mother being attacked in any way, verbal or physical, is an attack on himself. This is how it works. So it is quite possible this might be one of the reasons, but I do believe most of the cause is redirected aggression from his dad. If his dad was abusing and beat him all the time, he had to take it out somewhere. Most of the times with serial killers, we have like the case of, say, Jeffrey Dahmer, who because his parents were so ignorant to his upbringing, and because of the fact that he had a terrible high school life, he would turn to killing animals at first. From animals, he would move on to humans. However, if you were to say that his father was abusive, that would have speeded up the process, and he would have moved on to humans a lot sooner. Any sort of
So okay, about in a case whereby let's just take it in another scenario, whereby now we know quite well there's love lost between him and his father. How about in a case whereby the father was in his life? What could have triggered this thing apart from this? Let's say now the father is in his life. What could have made him kill his friend apart from that being his father in his life?
We would have to look at his family's history as well. Apart from his father, maybe his father's father or his father's mother. There are certain individuals, I think it's the best way I can describe, who have a very strong impulse, stronger than most. This is usually with most killers, it's something that's learned. Like this is something that takes time. But with some people, it is an impulse that they're born with. It can be genetic, and with these people, there's a alternative approach to how you're supposed to talk to them and treat them. Because any small thing, like say, oh, I have a classmate I like, this person can take it so personally as an attack that they have to act out the impulse, and the impulse usually is very physical. So it could be a case of that. I would have to look into their history. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't can't confirm it. But it is possible.
Um, from what we know, his uncle tried to kill his father in a similar manner. Just the
Yeah.
weapon was
So
different.
this is proving already the point. In a dysfunctional family that has like genetics passed down by generation, this is a thing that's dormant. Usually it's dormant, but any sort of circumstance, whether like a traumatic experience, whether it's his father beating with a belt, or him falling somewhere, or him hurting his hand, anything can cause this to like skip, to activate it. So
So what is the early sign like for parents out there now? What could be the early sign for parents to look out for a child?
So with parents, and what they should look out for anything like that, any sort of sign, is usually kids tend to retreat to themselves, and most of the time they ignore parents. But the main thing, the main culprit that you can see is lack of emotional clarity. What I mean by that is, if you ask them how they're feeling and they say, "Well, I'm just fine," and they cannot describe in details how they're feeling, that is the sign. Most of the time, these people have no idea. They're not aware of their emotional boundaries and what they're causing other people, even if explained to them. So this is something that can be overlooked really easily, because it's children are like, oh, children don't know how they feel. They do. Children are really good and very adaptive, and they know how they feel. They might not have the words to describe it, but they can show you. And this is the thing that like parents should do with children, is let them explore, put them in a safe space that they can do that they can experiment with, and whenever there is a sign, like another sign would be whenever there's a case of somebody having to be punished because of something. Let's say, oh, he dropped like a little cup and it broke. Any person who has this impulse, if you were to punish him physically, this will activate the trigger. This is the trigger, and from that point onwards, no matter how many less times you do this, and you don't do it anymore, like you stopped abusing your child, he will have an impulse to attack the moment a cup breaks. It's gonna happen. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. This is why,
No kind of physical punishment works. In general, those two words don't go together. So yeah, punishment in general doesn't work.
Yeah.
There is re-education, and there's also just overall teaching a lesson. Teaching a lesson is different than punishment. It's realizing what's happened and what you can do different next time. Punishment is never never a good case for any people.
Yeah, I quite understand because in the where I came from, in the part of what I came from, we are being told by when we make mistakes, sometimes we are being punished for that. You understand? And immediately you're being
Yes.
punished for that, you are being corrected for that. So next time you don't do that. You understand? But punishment is not good because when you keep on punishing a child, it will trigger some psychological.
You're teaching a child. Whenever you punish a child physically, you are teaching the child that whatever he did, he cannot do again. And the moment he even thinks about it, and he will have a thought, because thoughts always come, he will feel like a villain. And because he feels like that, he needs to hurt, whether himself or somebody around them. That's how they reenact and redirect aggression. So punishment, never, never ever punish your child, animal, or anything. Abuse in any shape or form is not. There is no shape and form in which abuse is consensual and agreed upon. Like there's no situation in which violence is good. No situation. The only time, and this is obviously in a very specific case, is like self-defense. If it's in self-defense, obviously you should, but you initiating, never. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
with
you're right.
this case, what I find interesting is that the boy had zero comments to say about his mother, nothing, which is interesting because
Nothing,
No,
not
no
before,
empathy.
not before the trial, not
he didn't
during the
write
trial, not
anything. There was no
afterwards.
journals that they found of him
Nothing.
writing about his.
No, not to the public knowledge. They might
Hmm.
have, but it hasn't been,
And due
released.
to good behavior, he was released. Okay.
Yeah, he actually served his sentence. That was quite a long time ago now, but
What happened
yeah, he
to
served
his
his
father? Is he
sentence and
still
he
alive?
was released. And his father lives in the
His father
apartment
lives in
where
that
he's
apartment.
arrested.
Interesting. Mhm.
Yes, they separated with his
Yeah.
mother.
Okay.
His mother has another family.
Do we know if he keeps contact with his mother or his father? I'm curious.
Um, Actually, it's not known what happened to him. According to most of the sources that I've read, he just went to
I
live with his
see.
grandmother
Okay.
in
Well, that would have
Greece.
to be a connection through his mother. Is that his grandmother from his mother's side? I would assume. Hmm. Okay.
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
And also that would make sense because in Bulgaria that would be
Hmm.
it would be very hard to
Yeah,
live
exactly.
for him because everybody knows his
Exactly.
face and who is going to hire him
Yes.
for a job or something.
I would assume that's his mother's grandmother, and they've had some contact. The fact that his father still lives in that house is quite. Yeah, it was quite.
Weird.
I wouldn't say it's weird because everyone
Yeah.
knows what happened, so nobody would buy that apartment. And if the father doesn't have anywhere
Mm-hmm.
else to live,
Yeah.
it will make sense to me.
And the last thing that happened right before the killing was that there was a quarrel during a card game, right? Yeah. That could have
Yes.
been it, honestly. Not the specific reason for, but that the trigger, like just anything small, like disagreement over a card game. If it's in his family, especially if disagreements led to physical abuse,
Yeah.
anything small like this, he knows that it would lead to that, so he would have to enact the abuse before it's reenacted on him. It is literally because it's a self-defense mechanism. He is redirecting. He is trying to. He's curled up essentially in a ball, and he's trying to defend himself. So it wasn't. From my view, from my point of view, it's not. It's not aggression. It's not direct aggression. It's not because he wanted to kill the victim. It's more. It's more he wanted to defend himself in case he was attacked. And unfortunately, it looks really terrible from another point of view. But um, the fact that he didn't stay in the country in any shape or form, there's a lot of usually with serial murderers when they get out, even on good behavior, they can still remain in the country because they have a lack of emotional depth to them. They've already gone through like such transition that they don't really care and nothing really affects them. The fact that he's not living here and he's living with his grandma in Greece, to me shows that he had some sort of regret at the very least, or he feels in some way bad about the situation, which to me is usually a case of, oh, I screwed up. I did something I didn't do because it was an emotional outburst because of my abusive experience. And now I'm like, no, I don't want to be here. So
And what do you think about the theory that some people had that he was innocent, but he was threatened, and that he actually
the
took
thing
the life?
is,
Is that even possible?
in case of this happening, he would have at the very least shared this information by now. He's already in a safe place with his grandma. Nobody knows where he would be. Most of the times with victims like this, especially after a few years, they would release information like this. within a year. It's
Okay.
But do you think
Okay.
we probably they may might have threatened him not to say anything, because when I go through the case study, I find out like the guy he killed, like how long does it take him to dismember him and see take part of his body to this a close by side, dig a
Mhm.
ground and still bury and still come back. You know, it takes a long time for to do these things. But you know, and to chop up a woman body bone, it takes time. Like for a boy
Yeah,
of that age,
Yeah.
it's not a professional. These things are done
yeah.
by at least somebody that have idea that have been killing before, that will take, okay, I need to go and dispose the body, I need to dig a ground, I need to take the organs, I need to store this in the fridge. You know,
And it
it
was
takes,
also
yeah,
October,
yeah,
so it was cold outside.
it's cold. So
Yeah.
how does he have those mentality if you've never done this before? So so I'm wondering, how is he alone? Does he act alone, or does
Um,
somebody
it
behind the
is
scene
possible,
would
but
have seen?
I'm very surprised that he has not come out to say anything about it. If you're in a situation where you're forced to put
Yeah.
up a body and somebody is threatening you, in the moment when the gun's being held at when you're being held at gunpoint, your brain recognizes this is the only situation you're ever going to have and you're going to do it. But with time, after death is passed, and especially if you're in a safe space, at the very least, this information will be shared with your closest ones. Now, I don't know, maybe his grandma knows more and she just doesn't want to share, but
Okay.
I would bet money that he would have given out information by now. I feel like it's a case of there is a
Okay.
possibility of somebody who did help him. Like you said, but I'm not sure. I,
Yeah, there were a few theories that he had an accomplice, and also there was a working theory or a rumor that there was this wannabe surgeon who
okay,
paid
so he
him
wanted
to
to like
lure
practice
someone
on
he can chop up.
right.
That has never been proven though.
Um,
It's never been proven.
hmm.
But I do kind of
I can
understand
see
why this
why,
sounds
because
so
it is really
plausible to
hard
people.
for a lone kid to do this within one night. But the thing is, if possible, if he did premeditate this for a very long time and he planned it, um, but granted, he hasn't.
Yeah, he should have planned,
Yeah, yeah,
because how does he get the body bags or
yeah.
nylon? How does he
True,
do? No, this is
Yeah,
kind
true,
of,
true.
yeah.
Yeah, it was
The,
premeditated, I guess. So he may
it's.
have
I don't know
actually
how long
thought
it
out
takes
something.
for a body. I don't really think but like, I
Well,
feel
I
like
don't know either, but
if he did it out of aggression, at the very least, he wouldn't have like read up so much about dismembering a body. So I'm like kind of leaning towards um, the possibility of there maybe having been somebody to help him, or at the very least somebody who wanted. But also, I'm curious as to why they would like lure specifically him, a high school student, to kill his close friend. It's way too personal. It's a I mean they're not close friends, but like still somebody from the
no, he
school.
wasn't
It's
his
still
close
a bit
friend.
more personal.
He
I
wasn't.
feel like it's just a case of like I said,
Yeah.
redirected aggression. I don't think in any way he was helped. I think he might have looked up the things. It might have taken him some time because this is not something that happens overnight. I feel like he already had this plan for possibly a week or two. Um, to which case, yeah, the reasoning behind his lack of reasoning, the fact that he's explained that he has no reason as to why he didn't explain himself, to me shows very quiet regret. It just shows this is a very classic case of most of the time when killers have one or two reasons. Either they're completely regretting, they're in shock, they're shocked completely, or two, they are hiding an accomplice. But in this case, I feel like it's more of regret. I think needed um, he needed some space for it to take out his aggression, and he did it there. because he can't do it on his father. Had he done it on that, it's possible he was going to be the victim.
Okay.
So, yeah. And the fact that, yeah?
Okay.
No. And the fact that he lives with his grandmother, and I'm pretty sure that would be his mother's grandmother, and he's outside, to me just proves the point that it was just a case of like the environment in which he was in, and his father being there controlling him. I don't want to rule out the possibility of his father saying something, but I do not know anything about the father apart from you saying that the uncle abused him as well. So yeah, I'm curious if the father gave any comments during the case. Hmm.
No, not really.
Yeah.
Actually, the whole family was quiet. They didn't say anything. They didn't comment on anything.
The victim's
The
mother,
one
yeah,
parent
makes
that's being
sense.
very vocal was
And she would
his
be.
mother.
The fact that both his parents, though, are very quiet is strange. It's assume his mother to the very least be very concerned and defending her boy if they were that attached. His father is very not normal behavior of him to do that. No matter what, he would like act like that. But his mother, I'm curious as to why as well. Um, but that's the interesting part is if his mother really didn't react in any sort of way and wasn't concerned, then that just makes the possibility of the abuse being only towards him and not towards the mother. Um,
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, from what I could find, I could confirm that his father was aggressive towards his mother.
No, definitely, if the father is aggressive towards the child and is showing it, that means he have been doing this thing to the mom. You understand?
Usually, yes.
Yeah, the father should have this aggressiveness for a long time before the child. You understand?
Yeah, I do. I don't have experiences like this, but yeah, that's very possible, I guess.
No matter what your child does to you, you shouldn't express so much hatred or anger towards that child, no matter what, because you are indirectly you are passing what's it called, hatred, and at the same time the child can express it. It will be start accumulating, and one day it will not. Something may trigger him outside, and it will lead to
it's
better. It happens like that.
Yeah.
It's strange, really, because his mother is his closest confidant, and to me, it sounds a case of like his father was beating him in secrecy. His mother found out. His mother in no way was.
Okay.
And
that's probably.
I'm not surprised, considering the fact that they've had like there have been cases of abuse from the uncle towards the father, and the father is redirecting that towards his son. Especially if his son is not. This is also a case of like parenting. This is a case of like when parents try to give their power to their children in a way, and they feel like their children are misusing it. So in the sense of, if the kid was not very particularly good at school, which I assume he wasn't, yeah. Usually what happens, especially if the father, I don't know if the father was also good at school, but most of the time what happens is if the father wasn't doing good in his academics or in life, he would have to give that crown to his child. If his child doesn't do good, then comes punishment. And that's also the possibility as to why his father was doing it, apart from him also being abused. This is a very like common case with families, especially here in the Balkans in Bulgaria. It's very common for this to happen because most of the time it's a state of a state of pride. Let's say it like that. And yeah, if you cannot be proud of your family, your heritage, then yeah, you might as well like not have it, or at the very least, in his case, dismantle it, aka abuse it. So this is a possibility too. I'm leaning towards, like I said, just based on like what I have in notes and what you guys have told me, this is just redirected aggression from the kid, who's not a kid anymore. He's a grown adult. But he's a grown adult, and yeah, I hardly believe he would do that
Yeah,
again
he's
in the
already
case in the
so
hands he's
old.
in when he's sorry in the hands he's in now. But yes, unfortunately, it's a case of just misunderstood aggression and redirected towards like a classmate. There's also a possibility that the father, I don't know, but I feel like maybe the father had to make some sort of comments. Maybe there was moments where he compared them to, say, a family or something. And with a kid who's being abused, who's not doing well academically, and he's not loved by his parents unconditionally, this can cause the kid to, in a sense, go insane. A little bit more like on the sign of like split personality. Because if you're not engaging with your child and your child is doing something and he's showing you what he's doing, hey, I made a plane, mom, and it's like, oh, it's okay, or like his dad's like, it's a terrible plane. You're enforcing you're enforcing a behavior that basically says that whatever the kid does, whatever I do, is wrong. So if that's the case of what's happened, and it's quite possible, I feel like that's probably what we're leaning into.
Okay.
The kid probably develops some sort of split personality. One of which is the, hey, I'm the little kid who I want to show my mother and dad that I'm proud of them and I want to show them I've made a little airplane. To the, I'm an abusive, terrible person and I would love to kill people. Not would love to, but I feel like I abuse and I hurt people and that's my thing. And whatever I do is wrong. So this is him reenacting that. In a sense, yes, but in this case, I think it's also partly to the genetics, like we said.
Hurt people.
There was some sort of like genetics, like I said, with the impulse, and if his uncle had that, and his uncle's dad had that, this is something that is hard to like combat. The best way you can combat that in a family, in an environment, is basically give the child his own space, his own place to be, and do not challenge him with anything that's like competitive. So he in no way needs to be in a competitive setting, like with people, like with the card games, or at parties or anything like that. You did say he didn't make parties, but I feel like that was more of a case of just him wanting uh, to was this kid at the party? His classmates? Okay, so those other people, yeah.
Well, not to previous parties, but there were other people as well with them playing cards.
Right, and the victim was not there.
But the other people just left before all of that happened.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay, right.
The victim was not part of the.
Yeah, well, he would have those parties probably for the sake of like not trying to be alone and just to be social. But at the same time, I feel like he also wanted to prove himself that he was better than the others, especially getting mad at a card game. I feel like that's a very normal to get mad at like games, but like to the degree to which he went to, I think it's more of a case of lack of self-worth, and he wanted to prove that self-worth through his credit card. And that self-worth obviously then retransformed itself into the aggression that we saw. And as soon as from his dad, it's probably, oh, you don't do well in school, you're not socializing enough, and him being forced to be in these settings is what also leads to this trigger. So yeah, interesting enough with this type of person, it's actually better to not isolate them per se, but let them. Uh, how do I word this? Give them their own little room. Most of the time with children, you need to like be there for them most of the time. With people like these, who have this really strong genetic impulse, you need to actually give them their own space. And they need to invite, like, don't initiate with them, they need to initiate with you. If they were to initiate with you, they'll know that they have the power to do so. And if somebody agrees with them, they'll feel like accepted rather than somebody like initiating with them, because then they would feel used and abused. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
With the pleasure.
Well, I'd like to thank you so much for taking all of this time to explain things to us and to participate in our episode. Just so you know, I might need to cut some parts. But I'm gonna send you a link to the video before I upload, so you can see for yourself. And because we done like 40 minutes, we might actually include you in a whole separate episode and do a whole separate episode.
Hell yes, I will review.
And we also hope that you won't refuse if we invite you for another one.
And likewise, if I'm doing
Nigerian cases, we were planning on doing Nigerian cases as well.
Probably we can just invite you if you're available, so you can just air your view. But before then, we'll send you a script of it, so you could understand and what really happened.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I assume there's probably a lot of Nigerian cases considering.
Tell us what you feel that triggers.
I'm not surprised, especially considering like the amount of bodies that have been hidden and can be exported and imported. But yeah, this is not going to be the video.
The size of the country, yes.
It would be a pleasure. Like I said, this is just from my limited knowledge that I had like a little bit of time to read. But it is an interesting case because the kid himself is exhibiting signs of both introversy and extroversy at the same time, and that makes it really interesting. So to me, that's probably what leans into the split personality, where one part he wants to be accepted by society, the other part he wants to be completely isolated. And this probably is from his parents, like I said, the way they've been treating him. So yeah, probably a case of that. And it's pretty sad because Jesus, I would not want to be in this kid's shoes. And I hope he's doing well. I do believe that any person can be rehabilitated given enough time, but in this case, I feel like it's very possible. This is not a very severe case of, even though it is a killing, of course. It's not a severe case of this person is completely irredeemable. He's quite redeemable if given the time. The society will not accept anybody back for doing anything like this. Definitely not the victims.
But
the victims' parents.
would the society accept that is the question.
He would be accepted, just not here, and maybe he's possibly accepted in Greece. Exactly. Yeah. And the fact that he's decided not to stay and he's moved on to like a different country, to me that sounds like he's on the right track. At the very least, he's healing. He could have come back and done. Most of the times with killers, they come back to the scene of the crime and they would like to revisit it, or at the very least to do something like that, because it's a bit like a drug, an addiction. It kind of gets to them because this is their release. And the fact that he didn't come back and he went away, to me, shows exactly that sense of, okay, there is some emotional stability here. So yeah, it is possible for him to be rehabilitated. Sure, of course, it was a pleasure. See you.
Okay, great. Well, I'm gonna send you the episode before publishing, and we'll speak again. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks.
He's a very nice person.
Yeah.
And look how readily he agreed to just